Alright, welcome back to another Learn PowerShell video. So in this one, what we're going to be doing is kind of building something a little fun, at least from my perspective, but to better explain a lot of syntax and things we've been covering and some things that we've barely even touched on, like functions, and understand them and how they work and how they react with one another a lot better. So about 2 years ago, I had created this short bit of code. And it was really a joke because there was this wallpaper that I'd come across. It had 3 lines of code, kind of just saying, if alive, kind of like, eat, sleep, code type of thing. I think it was written in JavaScript, I believe. It was just a joke. It's a really simple thing, colorful, and it was a nice wallpaper. But I wanted one for my phone that was a little more complex that kind of wrote out some things better and from the PowerShell point of view. So what I had done is written a while statement, several if statements, and then I used it as a wallpaper. And someone had seen it, looked at it, and somehow that made things click a lot better. So we're going to kind of go over that, and we're going to expand on what I had done by quite a bit, because obviously what we're going to do today is not going to fit on a wallpaper, at least not in its entirety. So the first thing we're going to do is look at stepping into something like an attribute of an object. So what we're going to do, is, because we're going to need this, it's going to be kind of the same concept, is while we're alive, we're going to do things. And let's do things in a very standard, typical day. So we're not going to care about Monday through Sunday. We're not going to care about anything like that because obviously things differ between the days. But let's just try to standardize things, things we do every day or should do every day. So what we're going to do is start with this hour of the day, and we're going to say get date. And you'll notice that I immediately wrapped it in parentheses because I know that I only need the hour. Get date looks like this. Whatever today is, with the actual day of the week, with the time that it is currently in your current time zone. We only want the hour, so that looks like this, which is just an integer number on the standard 0 to 24 clock hour of the day, because after you hit 12, you can't hit 12 again. It wouldn't be very decisive. So also, we're going to need something that kind of says that we're alive. So let's just say alive happens to equal true right now. We're writing this. And then let's just set some quick parameters. Let's say that our breakfast happens from 6 to 9 a.m. Our lunch happens from 11 to 2 p.m. And our dinner happens from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So you can just call this beefist. We're just going to shorten things up a little bit. So that equals 6 to 9, and our lunch is going to equal, what did I say, 11 to 2 p.m. So 11 to 14, and our dinner is going to equal 17 to 18, which is 5 to 8. So now we can just kind of say that while we're alive, and you guys remember that this is a true statement because alive contains true, so this is going to persist forever until someone stops it or they shut down the computer because we're no longer alive. So let's say, firstly, let's look at this. So let me run these. So hour of the day and these 3. So if we look at breakfast, we'll see that 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we say, breakfast contains the hour of the day, that's wrong because we're not in 6 to 9 a.m. Let's just say dinner. So let's say dinner, because we are in that, because I showed you that it was 17 right now. Dinner contains hour of the day. That's true. So we know that that's how we need to write the statement, because if we're in that period of time, we're going to do something. So let me just write these out really quick, because we can't test these first few, so I'm going to skip over them. So if breakfast contains hour of the day, we're going to say eat breakfast. And then else if lunch contains hour of the day, then we're going to eat lunch. And if dinner contains hour of the day, we're going to eat dinner. Now, already, these don't mean anything to PowerShell. We do know which of these is going to evaluate to true, and we can test that just by this. However, eat dinner is not recognized. This is not a command that PowerShell knows. So, we need to do our due diligence and write something for eat dinner. And this is where our functions are going to start coming into play, although we're not done with just this one. You can just imagine that I would write these for breakfast and lunch as well, because I don't want to waste your time just doing repetitive stuff. So we're going to say that our function is going to be called eat dinner, because we've already established that is what it's going to be called, because that's what we're calling. And we are going to take some parameters. The parameters we're going to take are, parameter, and we are going to say that this is absolutely mandatory, because we do not like indecisive people who don't know what they want for dinner, although I'm sure you all know someone in your life that is that way. And we're going to say that this is our type of dinner. And let's take this as a string, because we don't want people eating numbers. We'd like intelligible words, hopefully, although we may not get anything back other than a few dots, which is a string. Who knows? I don't want to spend time validating this based on making sure that what they're giving us is a credible type of food, because this is for you. So if you don't give it a credible type of food, well, that's your fault, just like if you don't eat. So we're just going to do some quick pairing type of dinner, and let's put some dots after that. We're going to say foreground color, let's go with dark green to say that it's kind of in progress. We'll say that that takes 2 seconds, and then we will say that encasing doesn't matter. I just like to keep everything case sensitive, just so you guys can see that where I'm doing things. But if you messed up somewhere, let's say like this one, I just wrote all lowercase type of dinner, it wouldn't really matter. This is still going to evaluate correctly. And if I needed to, I could just change all of them at once by highlighting the first one and hitting Control D until I've highlighted all of them that I need to change, and just typing them correctly if I happen to mess up and wanted them all to be exactly alike. Whoops. Now I need to stop there, and is ready. So our dinner is ready, and we're going to say that's in green because it is fantastic, not dark green, not pending any longer. And then we are going to return our meal, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, because we want to know what we ate, I guess, throughout the day. So we're going to say that our, let's do it like this. Say that our breakfast equaled our, dinner. I'm stuck on breakfast. type of dinner. And see, I spelled it wrong. So we're going to say type of dinner. And so let's run this really quick. And let's say eat dinner. I'm feeling really lazy tonight. Just want to write code and eat some pizza. So preparing pizza. Your pizza is ready. Now I can take a look at what we ate. Our dinner happened to be pizza. So there we go. Awesome. So now we can kind of do something else down here. Is we can say that let's create another time period up here, and just call it anything between dinner and the end of the day. So let's just call it EOD for end of day. And let's just say anything from 18 to 24. And then just say if end of day contains hour of the day, then we're just going to figure out what we ate that whole day. So if we had eaten something else, let's just say that we had script meal plus equal, say we had breakfast as well, and we were actually healthy, we can say that we ate oatmeal. And let's say we had lunch also. Just copy this. And for lunch, we just had a protein shake because we knew we were going to eat a terrible dinner. So now I can look at what's in script meal and see that we had all 3 meals today. So that's fantastic. And I want to show you guys why I'm doing this. So obviously we had this variable called type of dinner that we passed into this function. However, if I try to look at what's in type of dinner, even though I told it was pizza, there's nothing in that variable. Anything that exists inside of a function only lives for the duration that that function is being run. So if you have any variables created and need them to exist outside of this function, if you want to see anything, you need to return them. You can save them by doing something like, save variable, eat dinner, and then we're just going to say pizza again. This is going to absolutely overwrite what we did, so let's create a plus equal there just in case. And now, if I just do save variable, oh wait, I need to return something. Type of dinner. Let's run this again, and run that same exact thing again. Pizza. So because dinner has already been saved in our thing, it didn't add it, but I can look at save variable, and now pizza is there because pizza exists because we saved the entire function, which only saves the output, which is only this little bit of code that it was going to return to this variable. So what we've done here is made it a usable variable for later, so we don't have to save this now because we're not sure where we're going to call this or what we're going to do with it. So we can just elevate this meal variable by using script colon in front of the variable name, and now we can access that anytime outside of the function. Perfect. So beyond eating breakfast, let's say that we had to do something like brush teeth. And I'm doing it this way because I showed you guys in the last video for day 6 advent of code that I used an approve variable. You don't have to use approve variables, but if you don't and you're in VS Code, what you're going to get if you hover over it, it will say eat is an unapproved verb, and it's going to tell you that uses an unapproved verb. If you highlight it, it's also going to say that you should use approved verbs to make things easier. Use approved verbs. So, and that's really just so people understand kind of what you're doing. Obviously, as long as everyone is speaking English and knows what the word eat means, this is fine. But if you're using an approved verb, something like invoke, then everyone kind of knows what invoke does because it has very clear guidelines. So if you want to do get verb invoke, whoops, I think it's description. How do you access the description of the verb? Let me check this. Get member. Well, anyways, these all have descriptions on them. All the verbs do. All of the commands do as well. And you can kind of see like what this is typically used for. I can't remember where that is. Oh well, not really relevant, but you can kind of see what that verb is used for and then figure out which one is best to use. Actually, let me do this. Get verb. Nope, still the same. Oh yeah, here we go. No, that's get member still. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Moving on. So you can then create all these other functions that you're going to call. And so for eat lunch, we can say that we're going to study coding. After we eat dinner, we're going to actually code projects. And we can say that else if, let's say, bedtime contains hour of the day, then we don't like sleep, so we're gonna drink caffeine. So this is how functions are used, and now obviously this is written in a very strange order because I'm eating dinner after this stuff, which doesn't make sense because this code is gonna run first. But if I wrap all of this inside of a function, let me do this. Let's delete this, highlight all of this, and say function, whoops, not a dollar sign. Oh, I shouldn't have deleted it. Okay, so I wrapped it in brackets, which is how we know we're in a function. And let's just call this invoke daily routine. And we don't have any parameters to pass into daily routine. You might want to pass in something like vacation if you're on vacation or if it's a holiday, so you know maybe a different routine that you're going to enact. But because we've done it like this, let's go ahead and tab all this over so we can see where it exists. Oops. So again, this is just very generic. So if statements, else if statements, these would all be functions that we could write independently on things that we needed to do. And now because these are all functions, what I can do is just load them all up together and get rid of that and say that I want to, I know we're still within this time for the time of day, so I can just go like this and invoke daily routine. What do you want for dinner? I've had pizza quite a few times, so maybe I'm thinking let's just go for some steak. So preparing steak. There we go. Dinner is already in the hash table, so that would overwrite that. So something you could do before this is if script meal dot keys actually, let's say this. Dinner. We're going to script meal equals no, just for now. And now, why is it rerunning that? Okay. So now, if we just invoke daily routine again, we can say our type of dinner. Let's say steak again. Eat dinner. Why is it asking me multiple times? I don't know how I got caught in that loop. I really don't. Let's do this. Do this to get rid of all of it and invoke daily routine again. Oh, because I'm calling code projects in the same time scope. So again, why I didn't realize this a minute ago, I don't know. So what's going to happen here is this is going to indefinitely run because while I'm alive, it's going to keep running. So I can keep responding, or I can just say that, you know, I ate something and move on with my life. But if I put something like this, start sleep, where I don't know if hours is one for start sleep. Oh, it's start sleep or sleep start. Let's do this. Let's figure it out by, oh, I can't autocomplete because I'm still in the command. Start sleep. Seconds or milliseconds only. So what is like an hour? So 60 seconds is a minute times 60 is an hour. So that's 360, so 360 seconds. That's not right, is it? $3,600. That sounds a lot better. So now I can invoke daily routine, say that I'm eating steak again. It'll say it's preparing steak, I ate the steak, and it should have actually kicked me out. Oh, if I put this in the while, it would have. And that's why placement is everything. So definitely make sure you're placing things in the right place. I don't know how to spell goulash, but whatever. So now it's going to sit here, and it's going to wait an hour. It's going to wait 3,600 seconds, because I don't want to keep doing things in the same hour. So it's just going to check again. I could make this run once every hour in the task scheduler in Windows. It's kind of a lot, pretty involved considering where we're at, so I'm not going to do that. So let's get out of this script. And that is a really good way to look at this. You can also just do exit. So while we're alive, we're going to do something and then just exit. So if we run this and run this again and give it a string back, it doesn't matter. Then as soon as we've run it, it's going to kick us out completely because there's no need for it to wait. Whereas the start sleep would have waited an hour and asked us again, or checked again which hour we're in. We might not have been in this hour anymore. We might have been in the end of day, which it would try to tell us to drink caffeine. So this is how functions interact. You can call functions inside of functions, which we just did. And it doesn't matter which order you write them in, as long as you make sure to call them in an order appropriate. So I can't call eat dinner before it exists. So if I do remove variable eat, or actually remove command, I can't remove command. So let's just do this. Let's change this to breakfast. Eat breakfast. And I cannot call it here because I haven't loaded it up. So if I try, it'll say that it doesn't exist again. Even though it's here, because I haven't actually loaded this into memory, it does not exist. So just be mindful that when you're creating functions, to use them, you need to load them into the memory. And then once you've used them, the only thing that exists in memory is this, and then it just loads up that script when it needs it, and then removes all of the information that the function had inside of it every time that it's not in use. So this is a really good look at functions. This is a really good look at while statements, if statements, else if, and the exit or start sleep, depending on what you need, and using this hour of the day and get date commands. So hopefully this video is helpful to you, kind of understanding how things process and run a little more smoothly, and the order of operations in PowerShell, at least on a higher scale, because we've looked at little math order of operations, which is very standard. So this should help a little bit in how the code processes. Just because something comes after where you would think it's needed, doesn't matter until you actually call it to do something. So I will put this video in the beginner videos. Not sure what it's going to be titled. No idea really. But I will just maybe daily routine. All right. I will talk to you guys all soon when I have another video for Advent of Code Day 7.